Global decentralized media broadcast organization. We have broadcasters all over the globe now, and everybody knows we are a decentralized media organization. However, we believe in one network, many voices. And with that being said, I know this is unannounced that I'm putting this out to everybody, but I have one of my closest friends in the industry. She's doing her thing out on the East Coast now. Wish she was still out with us out here in. Well, she was still with us out here in California too. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So she is. Make sure I get all this right. Event producer, experienced designer, 17 years of experience in that on that side, doing venue procurement, event management, project management, conceptualization. And I met her through the experiential event scene out here in Los Angeles a few years back. And she's become a close, dear friend of mine ever since. So a lot of you might have heard of the Stone Age, which is a women and minority produced, immersive, sensory driven exhibition that opened a couple of weeks ago in New York City's Flatiron District. My good friend Sasha Perlman, she's going to kill me, Perlman, and Elizabeth Santana, they said that they'd be exploring the states of being through one-of-a-kind cannabis-inspired installations and teaching guests about how cannabis is a part of our human experience. Major focus of their project was to educate consumers and exhibit visitors on the history of cannabis, the war on drugs, and illuminate all that cannabis can do good for everybody. And a means to do that, it means to access the good in all of us around the globe while maintaining a focus on addressing the social justice reforms that are being sought out today. So it's my absolute pleasure. They're in, I believe, in week 3 of production now with the Stone Age to introduce everybody to Sasha Perlman. Sasha, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hi, Rico. Thanks for having me. This is amazing. What a magnificent introduction. I need you to be my hype man on site to introduce me like this all the time because I got goosebumps listening to you.
You know I got you. And I miss you dearly, man. The West Coast misses you. Can't believe you're out in New York City. Time too. What the hell? But it's all for good cause. Out there doing your thing with the Stone Age. Tell me, how was the launch? I'm mad I couldn't be out there. How was the launch? How did it go? And how is the show going currently?
Yeah, the launch has been incredible. We opened doors on October 1st. So we're like our second week in. We had a huge grand opening VIP celebrity celebration this past Friday with DJ Jazzy Jeff, D Smoke, Dave East, like all of these really amazing people coming through the doors. And I will say that unanimously, which is, near and dear to my heart, because this is what you hope for as a producer, but unanimously, everybody has this like, wow. And that's so cool because, I concepted this idea many years ago, starting my work in the industry. Like, wouldn't it be cool? And then I met my business partner, Liz, and we were like, she had co-produced Rose Mansion and the DNC and all these other activations. And, I was like, Liz, wouldn't it be cool if we did like Rose Mansion but for weed? And she was totally on board with it. And as we've been building it and designing it and, fleshing out the billion creative concepts and going into production, one of the things that there's always a little bit of reservation around is, are people going to receive it the way it's intended? And there's a lot of like controversial, thought-provoking elements of the Stone Age that could be misconstrued and, we possibly could have missed the mark on. But the fact that unanimously everyone who walks through it is so wowed and so in awe, and I can see the visual transformation of people, especially as they walk through awareness, really feeling moved. And cannabis consumers, non-cannabis consumers, people who aren't even proponents of cannabis, all have a very unique interpretation and experience, which is very much how it is with cannabis too, right? Like we all have our own individual relationship with cannabis. But it's really cool that between the artistry and the messaging and the immersiveness, that there is something for everyone, and that it's not, exclusively just a cannabis exhibit.
I love that. I love that. And that being said, this is, shout out to Happy Monkey with the Van Gogh exhibit that they had going on as well. I'm so pissed that I'm not in New York City right now. As an art guy myself, a lot of people don't know that, and you were telling me you had no idea about that as well. As an art major, I used to teach art, a couple of pieces of MCA in Chicago, and this is the second majorly promoted New York immersive event in 2 months. So, is New York shaping out to be um, the event industry looking to take the lead in execution in that realm? You know, um, Immersion. You were always doing immersive events out here, but I don't think anything of the size and scale of what you're putting on right now, or what Happy Monkey did with Van Gogh. Like, are you guys looking to take the lead, take that baton, and have everybody else follow you?
Without tooting our own horn, I think we have. Um, I really feel like this experience, from an experience perspective, is unprecedented, especially around cannabis content and the way that we've brought light to this content, and sort of being really holistic about the approach of the intersection of education, artistry, entertainment, social justice, activism. It's really it's really unique and it's really special, and to be the first is always, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I'm sure that there will be, sort of lookalikes, and I'm kind of excited to see what other people create as a result of this. We all derive inspiration from creators, and the Stone Age is very much setting the tone. And I think that at the end of the day, what I'd really love to see is progress. We created the Stone Age under the guise that we can help facilitate conscious consumerism and bring a lot of education and awareness to plant medicine and all of the things that cannabis gives us the opportunity to talk about that are uncomfortable, including the opioid epidemic, social injustice, racial injustice, sexual wellness. So the Stone Age is really the platform for that. And I am very curious to see how people, try to create something, in this vein. But I very much welcome that, because if it creates progress for us as a culture and as a society, then that's all that matters at the end of the day.
No, I agree, and I was really impressed when we spoke about what you guys were doing with the Stone Age. I was really impressed with your heavy focus on inclusion, education, community building aspects as well. Do you think that you guys are you and your team, you, Liz, and the team, are you looking to really set the tone for future exhibits to also include those aspects as well, and not just be, oh, let's go have fun, get stoned, and to go party? You're looking to really set the tone with that, because it's important, and I think it's very important that we don't lose focus, that folks really still are getting killed over this shit, right?
Yeah. Getting killed, spending sometimes life sentences in prison. Um, it's really interesting because, 4 years ago, I was really lucky to be brought on to help co-produce Imagine Justice, which was Common's mass incarceration tour. And it was my first exposure to mass incarceration, to the privatized prison system. And it sent me down a rabbit hole, because the first time I stepped into a prison and saw how people were treated, how people were living, I was like, what is this? This is inhumane. This is, and I got really fired up. And then sort of pairing that with the work in cannabis and seeing the parallels between the war on drugs and, the impact that has had, the result that has had in mass incarceration numbers, really inspired us to create a space that brings awareness to these issues. We can't fault people for not knowing what they don't know because we don't talk about it actively enough as a society. And also, when you know about it, what do you do? And so we were very intentional in our partnership with Last Prisoner Project, um, bringing awareness to the work that they're doing, but then also highlighting currently formerly incarcerated individuals, showcasing their creative works through, paintings, drawings, poetry, writings, really telling the story and creating this footprint that hopefully will evoke some empathy for people to get involved. And there throughout the space are real-time call to action. So you can scan a QR code and within 15 seconds, sign a petition, sign multiple petitions. You can donate directly to LPP. A portion of our proceeds are going toward LPP. We have the original art pieces for sale in our gift shop, and the proceeds go directly to the artist who created it. We've worked with formerly incarcerated individuals to cultivate a lot of the art that you see in the space. So it really, like, for us, was everything was very intentional. Everything was really thoughtful, but we would be remiss to produce an event about a plant that has, both a lot of positive impact on society, but then also has resulted in a lot of disservice to, underserved communities. And telling this story and humanizing the victims of the war on drugs is really, it's a blessing, it's a gift, that we it's interesting. We had this reporter come from Fast Company, and she pointed this out, and I didn't even connect these dots. So you start the experience on the conversation of sexual wellness through the state of being, which is arousal. And
Right.
so she's like, it's interesting how you structured it, because there's this really organic flow to the space where, you start with sexual wellness and it's kind of this like really vibey, vibrant thing. And then you end on awareness. And awareness is like, a much heavier emotional conversation. She's like, it was really smart the way you did it, because you lure people in and then you've captivated them. And then, we have the conversation about opioid addiction, which is like very, controversial, but also an epidemic. And then we end on this conversation about the war on drugs and literally bringing people into like a makeshift prison cell, and really humanizing that experience. And so it's really powerful, because it's like at that point it's not just this passive experience, it's very emotional, it's very
Right.
moving. And I think the ability to evoke that emotion in people hopefully inspires them to want to take action. And as you exit the space, we had this really beautiful mural that was created that says be the change. And that, like, for us is really what the Stone Age is about. You come, you experience, and now what? So throughout the space, it's really not just giving people the what, but helping them understand the why. And cannabis is really that thread that, despite it being like these, states of being, which are, we can relate on regardless of our relationship with cannabis, but cannabis weaves all of them together, and helps story tell in a really unique way, that through all of my event going and cannabis experiences, I have yet to have seen, which is why we created it the way that we did.
No, I can dig it, man. From the reviews so far, it's been nothing but positivity, and I just love the color palettes. I love the whole immersion aspect of it. I can't wait to experience it myself, and I really couldn't help but have just like flashbacks of all the documentaries that I watched. I wasn't there, obviously, but Fab Five Freddy, Basquiat, fucking Blondie hanging out like in the 80s and all of that. I can't help but just get feelings of that, vibes of that coming out of New York right now. So my final question to you is, are we soon to see an enhanced art renaissance through post-COVID immersive experiences? I think the opportunity is there, but what are your thoughts as a massive event producer doing things that nobody else has done before? What are your thoughts on that? Like seeing a true art renaissance through the cannabis green tinted lens, if you will.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. As a New Yorker who's been living in LA for the last 5 years, producing this in New York is really extraordinary because New York is the epicenter of the world. It's very much the intersection of art, culture, like street art in particular, culture, cannabis, fashion, beauty, like you name it. This is really is the mecca of all of the things. So it made total sense for the Stone Age flagship to take place in New York because the Stone Age is the intersection of culture, artistry, community, all of these things. The spectrum of the audience that we are attracting into the Stone Age, the spectrum of the artists that have worked with us to bring this to life is such a reflection on such an amazing city. And so, the ability to work with these really talented artists, and to just name a few, like our creative director, Anna Seibel, who helped corral all of the artists that came together, and through just a quick creative brief of like, hey, like we want to do XYZ, and give them the creative freedom to translate into their pieces their relationship with the plant. And some don't even have a relationship with the plant, but they have a relationship to the industry and what the plant means to them. So the artistry that's featured in this space alone is worth coming for, even if you don't give a shit about cannabis. I had a friend yesterday come and she's like, wow, this is like an art gallery, but so much more. So it's really exciting. And cannabis for centuries, thousands of years, is really rooted back to a lot of creative expression, both through artistry and writing and movement, and just the ability of creation, music, science, etc. And so having that tie back to the ability to think outside the box, to shift your thought perspective, to have kind of a broader perception of what it is that we see day in and day out in our quote unquote sober lives. Cannabis really helps expand the mind. And so to be able to really bring the artist element to life in a big way, I think celebrates not just like our kind of traditional definition of artistry, but really creativity and that community, because there are so many creators here, from designers to musicians to actors to painters, writers, etc. And how many stories come out of New York City of the greats living here. So it's really a celebration of that, not just in New York, but specifically at the Stone Age.
Absolutely love it, love it. So, you guys are in week 3, or is it almost week 4 now? Week 3?
No, we're like week one and a half, October 1st. What's today? Yeah, like almost 2 weeks.
I feel like it's been forever because I'm just like waiting to get the fuck out there and see this shit. I'll be out there. I think like the second weekend of November, to see what you guys got going on there. So, what is there to be expected next? So, you guys have launched, going into your second week now. We're wrapping up your second week. What can the industry expect to see next from the Stone Age through your next couple of shows, but also beyond that? What's next for you, Liz, and the rest of your team?
Yeah, great question. We, in the creation of the Stone Age, really positioned ourselves as a legacy brand. Experiences are just phase one of what we're creating as a company, because it helps us galvanize really the mass market through these pop-ups. And so next year will be certainly a roadshow into other cities, possibly extending into New York, depending on kind of the demand that we get from wanting to be open, because we've had multiple conversations about this really being kind of the cultural hub for cannabis in New York, which is really exciting. But we're looking at Chicago as one of our target markets, Atlanta, um, Miami. So really going into newer markets and still not legal markets, because ultimately the ability to help shape the consumer base and give them the knowledge that they need to make empowered buying decisions and understand the impact of their buying decisions is really important. Um, and then, in addition to that, e-com, thought leadership, really being in the space of helping aggregate a lot of the information, a lot of the important folks, and giving people a trusted resource that they can go to for content and information. Um, you know, for me, ultimately, and I speak on behalf of the Stone Age as a company, like we want to be the destination. We want to be able to create consumption lounges for people to not only come and get high, but to really like have a full 360 experience, because that is what we create. And I think the one thing I will say about the Stone Age, and I wish we were further along in legalization, is that we could, without any qualms, just consume cannabis without getting in trouble for it still. But we're working on that, and I'm hopeful that with the distribution of licenses and New York figuring that stuff out, and appreciate that there is very much social equity at the front of the licenses being distributed. With the distribution of licenses and sort of the opening of things happening throughout the next couple of years, we will be at the forefront of that and ensuring that the things that are being rolled out to consumers and to brands is really a standard of excellence that I think the industry could really use and evolve toward.
Oh man, I love it. Give me goosebumps over here just thinking about everything, all the good work that you continue to do. And that was one of the first things when the Stone Age came up across the news wires, and everybody's, oh, like, what the hell is this? Like, what's going on here? And I had no problem vouching for you like immediately because of your just impeccable track record working with the community. Everybody knows my biggest hashtag I always put out, is a community over competition, like all day. And one of the people who really inspired me to take that a step further in this space is you out here on the left coast, on the best coast. I'm talking shit. but no, but you really did inspire me to do a lot of that stuff, and you really did show me what immersive cannabis experiences could be in the space. And I'm really, really proud to know you and to have you as a friend and what you're doing out here on the biggest of stages. So, any last words you want to leave the good people at home, and make sure you let them know where to find you, and where to get tickets, where to find you, and where they can follow you on your adventures too.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for everything that you shared. And it's, it's, I take it with a grain of salt because we are doing something really unprecedented. And I feel so blessed to have community around the country as a result of my work in this industry, that it very is much in the spirit of collaboration and us all working toward the same mission, which is progress. So you can check us out. Welcome the Stone Age on Instagram, thestoneagenyc.com on the internet. And yeah, look out for our street teams, trolling the streets of New York City. We will be open through the end of November, so make sure to come check it out before doors close. And we are also hosting private events for companies, influencers, brands. So if you're interested, definitely hit us up through social and through the website, and we'll make sure someone from the team gets back to you. And thank you, Rico, for always being such a cheerleader and such an advocate for the work that we're doing.
Extendo fam. Make sure you guys check out the Stone Age. Check out Sasha. She's good people. Use the space and support the community, man. Much love to you and everybody at home. Make sure you guys kiss your mamas, hugging your babies. Remember, when there's no place to else to turn, you can always turn the fuck up. I'll be out in New York in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait to see you, Sasha. Much love, and
Likewise.
good luck on the next couple of weeks too. All right.
Thank you.
All right.